a storyteller, and I've come here today to share a couple of Australian stories with you. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I have two rules when I tell my stories. Rule number one, shh, zip. Can you hold up your finger like this with me and do what I do? Shh, zip. These are your chatterbox lips zipped up. Zip. These are your listening ears switched on. I like it if you're quiet when I tell my stories, because if you're quiet, I don't have to stop, and stories always sound better if they keep moving. But the second rule is that I love it when you join in. And there are lots of things for you to do with me today, but you've got to watch and you've got to listen so you know when I'm asking you to do something. Can you hold up your fingers like this for me? Point to your eyes, say, watch. Point to your ears, say, listen. Got those fingers? Here we go. Watch, listen, watch, listen, watch, listen, watch, listen, bloop, 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 bloop. And if you're watching and you're listening, then you'll know when I'm asking you to do something. Now, the first thing you'll notice about me today, I think, is that I've got a funny voice. It's not a Texan voice, it's an English voice. So I'm going to tell you Australian stories with an English voice. So you'll have to listen a little more carefully to make sure that you don't miss anything. My first story, and it's called Wombat Stew, and it has lots of animals in it, but the most important animal is the wombat. And a wombat's a big animal, like a giant guinea pig, about this big. And lots of people like to eat wombats, and one of the animals that does is called dingo. Dingo is a wild dog, and the dingo in my story, every time he laughs like this. Ow! Can you do that with me? Very good. That comes into the story lots of times. Now, there's a little sort of song that goes in the story, and the song is like this. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. I'm going to do that one more time, and let's see if you can do it with me. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Good job. Now, this story was written by a wonderful writer called Marsha Vaughan. And Marsha Vaughan said that I could tell this story anytime I wanted. And I wish I had a copy of it to show it to you. But if you ever find it, let me know, because I will definitely buy a copy. It's out of print right now. Are you ready? Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a dingo. And the dingo thought he was really smart. And Dingo was hungry. And what he wanted was to make something really delicious. And then he saw a wombat. So he caught that wombat and he decided to make wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Well, he took his billy can. In Australia, they call this a billy can. And he put a little bit of water in the bottom, and he thought, what could he put in his stew to make it really delicious? When along came Platypus, which is a funny looking animal with a long flat tail, and Platypus said, "Good day, Dingo, what's that water for?" And Dingo said, "Duh, I'm making a chewy stew with that fat wombat." Said Platypus, looking in. It doesn't really look like a stew yet. You know what you want to have in this stew? You need mud. I think you need mud in your stew. Well, Dingo laughed. Can you remember how to do it? I never thought about mud. Righto, let's have some mud. So Platypus went all the way down to the billabong, which is the muddy stream, and using his flat tail, he got a big block of billabong mud. Splat! Can you do that? Splat! So what do we have in the pot? We've got mud. Can you put your fingers up like this and do this? Mwah! That's what chefs do. They go mwah! Around and around and around the bubbling billy can. Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Well, he looked into the mud and he thought about what else he could put in his stew when along came Emu. Oh, good day, Dingo. What are you doing right here? And Dingo said, oh, I'm making a stew with that fat wombat. Well, Emu looked in and she said, it doesn't seem like it's ready yet. I think you should add something to this stew. I know what you could put in it. Feathers. Feathers would make it really chewy. Well, Dingo laughed. Oh, righto, let's have some feathers. So Emu pulled off some of her finest feathers and they tipped them into the mud. Okay, shall we get them all in? What have we got? They're not all in. Let's put them all in. Okay, one more. All gone? Yes, all gone. What do we have in the pot? We've got mud, we've got feathers. Around and around and around the bubbling billy can, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Well, he looked in at the mud and the feathers and he wondered what else he could put in his stew. When along came old Blue Tongue the lizard. Old Blue Tongue the lizard has a long blue tongue and he can catch flies from the air with it like this. Can you show me? And he said, good day, Dingo, listen, you can't have a really good stew without flies. Well, Dingo laughed. I never thought about flies. Righto, let's have some flies. Old Blue Tongue stuck out that tongue. Here we go. And he caught about 100 big, black, juicy flies. And they chipped them into the stew. All gone? All gone. What do we have in the pot? We've got mud, we've got feathers, and we've got flies. Around and around and around the bubbling billy can, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Well, he looked in at the mud and the feathers and the flies and he thought, what can I put in my stew? When up popped echidna. Echidna is a little bit like a hedgehog, a bit like a porcupine. He's got all these spines in his back and he's got a long pointed nose and he's got paws and claws, and he said, good day, Dingo. I see you have a stew going here. You know what you really should have in your stew? Slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Well, Dingo laughed. Righto, get me some slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Well, Echidna got those claws. Are you ready with your claws? They're on the ends of his paws, and he started digging in the ground like this. Are you doing it? Can you show me? And when he had come up with a wonderful supply of slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies, they tipped them into the stew. Okay, in they go. All gone? Yes. What do we have in the pot? We've got mud, we've got feathers, we've got flies, we've got slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Around and around and around the bubbling billy can, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Right. He looked in at the mud and the feathers and the flies and the slugs and the bugs and the creepy crawlies, and he thought maybe he was ready when he heard a voice say, Dingo, Dingo. He stopped and he looked at the top of the gum tree, and there was Koala. And Koala said, Hi, Dingo, old buddy, old chum. You can't have a really good stew without gum nuts, and I'm sitting in the gum tree right here. Shall I shake the tree and get you some gum nuts? Dingo laughed. Ow, righto, I never thought about gum nuts. Shake that tree. So Koala put his paws on either side of the tree trunk, and he began to shake it like this. Da, da. Can you shake the tree with me? Da, da. And down came the gum nuts. They poured into the stew. All gone? All gone. What do we have in the pot? We've got mud, we've got feathers, we've got flies, we've got slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies, and we've got gum nuts. Mwah! Around and around and around the bubbling billy can, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. And then he looked in and he said, Right, I am ready. I am ready to put that big fat wombat into my stew. And the animal shouted, No, stop. Ooh, wait a minute, Dingo. And Dingo stopped. And he looked at all the animals and he said, What have I done? What am I waiting for? And the animals said, You haven't tasted it yet. Well, Dingo laughed. Ow, I never thought about tasting it. Righto, let's do that first. And he took his paws. You got your paws ready? He took his paws and he put his paws right into the middle of that mud and feathers and flies and slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies and gum nuts. He put it right into the middle of that gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, crunchy, munchy, for his lunchy, hot and spicy, oh so nicey stew. And he brought out a big, big pawful. And then he took a giant slurp. You poison me, he shouted. And he ran into the trees, never to be seen again. And the animals let the wombat go. And as he wandered off, they sang, Today you will not be. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. One more time. Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Yay! Good job. Well, shall we take a look and see what's in the stew pot? I'm going to show you what's in the stew pot. Look at that. Ew, ew, ew. Well, let's take those things back out again. Let's see if we can remember what went in, and let's take them back out again. So first of all, no, let's go from the back. What was the last thing that went in? Can you remember? It was the gum nuts from the gum tree. Let's put those gum nuts back in their pot. Now, I didn't know what a gum nut looked like. This is a long time ago. And so I used candy. So this candy is, 23 years old. That's probably older than some of your teachers. That's really old, guys, that we don't eat that candy. Old food is not good. Oh, no, I'll tell you what was next. Can you remember what was next? Slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Okay, this is my least favourite bit, but I'll hold some of them up. That, anyone know what that is? It's a black ant. Ah! Anyone know what that is? That's a red ant. Okay, what about that one? Grasshopper! It's a grasshopper! Ew! What about that one? Ah, that is the biggest fly I've ever seen. I mean, we have big flies in Texas, but that is a big fly. Ew, ew, ew. Okay, we're getting to the ones that I don't think I can do. Ah, another fly. Oh, yeah, there's another fly. Oh, here's one. Okay, haven't seen that one. Can you see that one? Ew, caterpillar. Or millipede. No, it's a millipede, isn't it? Or a centipede. Not a caterpillar, it's a centipede. I've been doing this for a long time. You'd think I would know by now. Okay, and there's another one. Ew, 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 ew. And another one, and another one. Okay, now I'm getting to the bits. Oh, roach. It's a roach. Get it in. All right, now. Big brown spider. Don't like it. Don't even like plastic ones. Big black spider. No, don't even like the plastic ones. All right, let's get those in. No, no. Oh, there's a June bug. Yike, yike, yike. Yike! Oh, God. Okay, so that's all the bugs. I think that's all the bugs. If I find another one by surprise, I'll be screaming later. There we go. Bugs in the pot. What went in before the slugs and the bugs and the creepy crawlies? Can you remember? It was the flies. And if we get lucky, they're all going to come up here in a big old clump. Look, sometimes they get, oh, ew, and I find them all over the floor. Ooh, and then my cats chase them and they eat them, and it's plastic, and it's not good for kitties to eat plastic flies. Let's pop those in. That is later. Flies. All right. What did that hold? Can you remember? That was feathers. Are you all shouting feathers? I hope you are in your homes. I hope you are shouting feathers. Let's put the feathers back in. And that's another thing that I find around the house. Feathers all over the place. Have you got a feather boa? Where's the feather boa? There it is. Okay. So that's the feathers. And what went in first? Mud. Platypus got the mud from the billabong. So, oh, well, we can leave the mud in there because we're just going to move this over here and find another one I prepared earlier. No, we're going to do a different story. So we'll put that one over there. Hello again. Bernadette Mason, the storyteller here, and I'm going to share another Australian story with you. A wonderful book called The Singing Snake. Now this is based on an Aboriginal story from Australia. And the first time I heard this story, I thought it was wonderful. This particular one is written by Stefan Chanecki and Timothy Rhodes. And I based the telling of my story on this book. However, there are lots of different versions of this particular Aboriginal story. And as it happens, this has turned into my version of that story. Now, you may remember that I have a couple of rules when I tell my stories. Number one, shh, zip. Can you do that with me? Shh, zip. These are your chatterbox lips zipped up. Zip, listening ears switched on. Remember to be quiet when I'm telling the story. But I do like it when you join in, and there are lots of things for you to do with me today. You've got to watch, you've got to listen. Put your fingers like this, do what I do. Can you remember? Eyes, watch. Ears, listen. Okay? Watch, listen. Watch, listen. And if you're watching and you're listening, then you'll know when I'm asking you to do something. Once on a great island in the middle of the ocean, there lived a collection of creatures found nowhere else on earth. They all chattered at once, and their voices were harsh and loud, and when they chattered, it was like this. Chatter, 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 chatter. Can you do that with me? All together. Chatter, 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 chatter. Moms, dads, everyone, I want you all doing it. Chatter, 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 chatter. Ah! The island was the noisiest place you can imagine. Well, the old man that lived with the creatures decided that he wanted to stop all the noise. he thought that the best thing he could do, and this is what he told them, was to create a musical instrument in honor of the animal that had the most beautiful voice. Well, that was a big mistake, because now all the birds and the animals chattered at the same time, each one of them hoping to be noticed by the old man. So singing can be gorgeous, but when everyone's doing a different song at the same time, oh, it's awful. La 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 la. Can you all sing at the same time? See how awful it can sound? Just any song that comes into your head. La 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 doody 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 booby 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 ba 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 ba. The old man said, enough, enough, enough. I've given you a simple little thing to do, all you animals, and you just go crazy every time I do. Now, I need some sleep, so I'm going to suggest that we have a contest. We'll have a singing competition, and whoever has the most beautiful voice, I will make a musical instrument in their shape. And so he went off and got the competition set up. Now there was a large, colourful snake listening to the old man's words, and he really wanted to win the competition. Oh, he really wanted to win because he'd never won anything before. He did not have a particularly nice voice though. This was the problem. And when the snake sang, it was a little bit like this. La 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 la. La 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 la. He knew that was never going to win a singing competition, so he thought the best thing he could do would be to go around the island and listen to different animals, and whoever had the best voice, he would copy them and try to learn from them. What a good idea. So he listened to the koala. Oh no. And he listened to the kookaburra. He didn't think so. He listened to the kangaroo. Oh no. And finally, one day, he saw a little bird called Lark. And Lark had a lovely voice. Oh, she sang so beautifully. When she sang, it was like this. Tweet, 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 tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Oh, it was just beautiful. And so Snake thought that he would listen to Lark sing and then practice by himself later. All day he listened to her sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. Can you show me how Lark sings? Tweet, 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 tweet. And then in the evening, Snake lay on the ground and he practiced. But it didn't matter how hard he practiced, he couldn't seem to get the same sound. When Snake sang, it was like this. Tweet, 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 tweet. He knew that he was never going to win the competition with that voice, and he got more and more depressed and sadder as the days went by. And now it was the day of the competition, and he was just about as depressed and sad as he had ever been. It just so happened that Lark was on the ground near Snake, and Lark was singing to herself as she always did. And Snake heard her sing, and he had a thought. And he thought for the first time ever how very small Lark was. What a tiny, tiny bird she was. And he thought to himself, if I were to swallow her whole, I wouldn't hurt her or anything, just swallow her and keep her at the back of my throat. I could borrow her voice for the competition. And no sooner did he have the idea than he slithered across the ground, slithered, opened up his mouth and swallowed that little bird. Well, Lark immediately began to sing a song of protest, but Snake kept his teeth closed, and when the Lark sang, it looked as if Snake was singing, like this. Tweet, 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 tweet. This is going to work perfectly, thought Snake. I think I can win. Well, it was time for the competition to start, so Snake started to make his way towards the contest. But He met more and more animals along the way, and all of them marvelled at his incredible singing voice. Every time he opened his mouth like this, with his teeth closed, and the sunlight shone through his teeth, Lark began to sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. The animals and birds thought it was incredible. I mean, even some of the better singing birds were astonished at the quality of Snake's voice. I mean, for example, the lyrebird said, "It's almost as if Snake were a bird." And Emu said, "It's like he's been taking singing lessons. I don't remember him singing like this." Platypus wasn't quite so sure. He was quite suspicious. He said, "His voice has certainly improved since last year." Well, Dingo said, "I wish I had a voice like Snake's. I think he sounds marvellous." It was time for the contest to begin. All the animals had gathered together. Old Man had a clipboard and he'd written down every single animal on that board, and he was going to go in the order that they had arrived. Well, Snake had been so busy bragging that he was late, and he was right at the back. But he was not going to wait. He squeezed his way between the kangaroo and the wallaby. He squeezed his way between the kookaburra and the long-necked tortoise. He squeezed his way right to the very front. And before anyone had time to stop him, he lifted up his head, opened his mouth, but not his teeth. The sunlight shone down and Lark began to sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. It was so beautiful. It was just so lovely that all the animals were crying. It was such a sad and sorrowful song. And everyone thought that Snake was singing. And when Lark had finished the song from the back of Snake's throat, the animals thought that Snake had the most wonderful voice they had ever heard. And all of them agreed that they didn't even want to enter the competition. Old Man thought they were right. He said, "Your voice is the best voice I've ever heard in my life. I'm going to go and make a musical instrument in your shape, Snake. Well done." Well, the moment he'd gone, all the animals gathered around Snake, and Snake was coiled up on the ground as proud as he could be. And they all wanted him to sing another song. Platypus, suspicious as ever, said, "Yes, Snake, sing us another song, if you can." Well, Snake kept his teeth closed, and he said, "Certainly, it'll be simply splendid to sing another song." And he lifted up his head. The sunlight shone through his teeth. And this time, Lark did something different. She was fed up with sitting in the back of Snake's throat. And so this time, she took her claws and she scratched the back of his throat. Can you show me? Snake's cheeks bulged. His eyes too. But he kept his mouth closed. Oh, it was terrible, the pain at the back of his throat. When Lark realized her plan was working, she did it again. And this time, Snake could not keep his mouth closed. He just couldn't. And he opened it in a terrible cough. And as he did, Lark flew out straight to the top of a tree and sang a glorious song of freedom. Tweet, 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 tweet. All the animals and birds looked up at Lark in the tree, and while their attention was distracted, Snake slithered off into the ground, way to a tree, right up a tree, and across a branch, and he pretended to be that branch. When Lark had finished singing, the animals looked at each other and they said, "He tricked us. Yes, and he was horrible to Lark." And Koala said, "I think we should never speak to Snake again." And Flying Squirrel said, "Right, from now on, no talking." And the animals went off into the bush. And as soon as they'd gone, Snake slithered down the tree, slithered to the ground. And just as he got to the ground, Old Man returned. And he had a long, tubular musical instrument in his hand, a horn. And he said, "Snake, I've made this horn in your shape. I don't think it's going to sound as good as you, but I think it sounds pretty good." And he put the horn up to his lips, and he began to play. Snake was so ashamed. He hung his head. The animals never did speak to Snake again. In fact, after a while, Snake forgot how to speak himself, and the only sound he could make was a little hissing noise from the back of his throat, as if someone or something was scratching like this. Can you remember the name of the island that all these animals came from? I told you at the beginning. It's Australia. Australia has animals found nowhere else on Earth. And that horn that the Old Man made, that is called a didgeridoo. Can you say that with me? A didgeridoo. And do you know what they call a person or an animal that cannot be trusted? It's called a snake in the grass. A snake in the grass. I'm going to show you my koala. This is my koala. When I was a little girl, I called this koala my koala bear. But in fact, a koala is not a bear. It's a marsupial. Yes. And that means it keeps its young in a pouch in the front. And can you think of another animal that keeps its young in a pouch on the front? Well, let me show you. That would be the kangaroo. There's my kangaroo. Isn't he just about the skinniest kangaroo you've ever seen? He is. He's got a little joey there. That's a baby kangaroo at the front. That's called a joey. My kangaroo says, "Good day, mate. Righto, righto." That's my really bad Australian accent. So I apologise right now for any little sneaky Australian accent I put in there, because I know it's not very good. And I'm sure every Australian out there is cringing in exactly the same way I always am when people are trying to do English accents. Don't do it. Don't try. And now I'm going to grab my little kitty cat. My little kitty cat is here. And those who know me know that I like my cat to say goodbye and thank you. My cat's got wobbly legs, so he can't stand up. But one thing he's really, really good at. He's really good at saying thank you. He's very good at applauding. Thank you for coming.